5 signs of a potentially bad tenant. Now, these points, this does not mean that you don't rent to people that have these, characteristics or situations. All I'm saying that these are signs that they are potentially going to be a high risk tenant or a problematic tenant, and these, honestly, all of these I have experienced myself. So let's get right into it. Number 1, a tenant that has kids, especially younger kids. Kids are awesome. They're great, but they are also very active. So you risk, them messing up your carpet. If you have wall to wall carpet or even flooring, you really do risk that. So that's something you have to think about. Now, this is a little hint how you can find out if they have kids, because you're not supposed to particularly ask. There are laws, in place that you're not supposed to discriminate against age, sex, race, and I believe children. I'm really not sure if it's on that list, but I'm sure discrimination against if a person has kids or not, it sounds unlawful and kind of unethical, but so what? So this is how you find out. You schedule your walkthrough between around the hours of about 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. That way, this is after school hours. This is, even if they're in daycare. Usually daycares don't last that long. Even if they have like school games, activities, usually 6:30 is the cap for all of that. Actually, around 5, honestly. But 6:30 is just ensuring that, okay, if this person does have children, then the kids are going to be with them. Point number 2. If they are young, please. I know you're not supposed to discriminate against age, but that really is a high risk. Like I said, at your own leisure, you can, of course, rent to a younger adults, but listen, they come with their friends, their lifestyle. Their house just might be the after spot. You know what after spot I'm talking about. So if you rent to them, and if your house that you're renting to them becomes the after spot for them and their friends, don't say I ain't tell you. Point number 3, potentially bad tenant. Oh, this is a good one. So I had a situation where they did not have an ID. You know how, a potential tenant, they do their screening, and I needed them to send me a copy of their ID. They didn't have one. So they're like, oh, I got to order one. Now, I know this seems very small. People are probably like, oh my goodness, it happens. People lose their ID. It expires. But that really was a flag for me, because it's like, you can't go to the motor vehicle and get an ID. I don't know, it's kind of irresponsible, especially if you're in a situation where you're looking for housing. So it's just a red flag, like, okay, maybe these people are not about their business. I don't know, it was very weird to me, but and you're not supposed to rent to anybody if you cannot see their ID anyway, honestly. No. If you cannot verify their actual face with their information, I don't care how many other sources of identification they have, I need to match a face with your records, because people are stealing identities left and right. Okay, number 4. This is similar to 3, but not really. If the potential tenant does not have a bank account. I know people are like, what does that matter? But let me explain. So like I said, I was in a situation. Now, at first, I'm like, okay, I think it was because, what was it? I think they had to pay their deposit. And they actually had gotten to the point where I was going to accept them. And I just needed them to send, electronically their deposit. I believe that's how I was also accepting rent payments at the time. I kind of forget particularly what system I had set up, but it was electronically, and they need a bank account. Excuse me. So they were explaining how they would have to get like a rush card or one of those like prepaid cards. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of weird. So I I actually went ahead and rented to them. I'm be honest. Disaster. Why? I find out that these people, and they honestly was, I can't say they were my biggest problem tenant, but they were one of them. And come to find out that the reason why they did not have a bank account, it wasn't because, oh, they don't trust banks and oh my goodness, they just, don't like the government being nosy. No, they were scammers. They done scammed so many banks that now banks just stop opening accounts for them. Yes. So I had a whole scammer in, my property, and yes, that is a very bad sign when a person do not have a bank account. And last and not least, number 5, a high potentially high risk tenant is a tenant that this is kind of cringy because I know I was really kind of weary about posting this, but I'm gonna just say it because it just is what it is. A person that has like a turnover type of job. Let me explain. A job whereas there is high turnover, such as warehouse jobs, like is high labor type of jobs, jobs where there's really just a demand for it during the seasonal times, like Rita's or Amazon, or even jobs that I don't know, you guys know them type of jobs, it's just like high turnover, they're seasonal, even like fast food. Now, this is nothing against, because obviously most of these jobs I'm naming are low income type of job or low wage jobs, but this has nothing to do with that. This has nothing to do with the wage in particular, but because you are pricing the property against the wages. A lot of people say 3 times the rent, 2 times is good enough. As long as you can pay the rent twice, I'm okay with that. But regardless, if you're able to afford the rent, if the job just, is known, if that industry is known for being like a high turnover, I'm putting myself at risk. Not many people last at Amazon. It's like hard labor, very hard, labor. So people don't really last there. And then, fast food and all them other places, they're just high turnover. So you're just risking having a tenant that, they can meet, the rent, they make enough money potentially, but within 4 or 5 months, they're out of a job because that job is just in the industry where they don't last. All right, guys, that's it. My next video, I am going to come and talk about good tenants, some signs of a good tenant. So stay tuned for that one.